Professor Duo, 2 years ago, you have been interviewed by a student representative list of Polyme for their 6-monthly magazine. And talking about innovative teaching, you said, a need is put into action when there is a crisis. Rethinking and redesigning our way of teaching is not a response to a crisis, but to something that could become a crisis tomorrow if we do nothing today. Your prophetic words today sound like a warning to all of us. How do you see the teaching of the future, and how can we be prepared for a new crisis? This is not just for you, but for everybody. How can we be prepared for a new crisis?
In general, I would say that it's very difficult to be prepared for a new crisis, and it's almost funny that in the fall we did a big risk assessment for our university. Nobody thought of something like this. We thought about crashing planes, buildings burning down, governments collapsing so that the money was gone and so on, but nobody anticipated this one, and it's much bigger than all the others that we thought. The biggest lesson that I have from this is if something like this happens, everything we do should be based on mutual trust. If that's out of the window, forget it. We should be flexible. We should be open and transparent to one another. I have weekly kind of Q&A meetings with students. Anybody can join who wants, and it's usually a relatively small group. And at the start, I mentioned this is a rather strange type of Q&A. You got the Qs, but I don't have the As. And that's exactly what you have at a crisis. In the beginning, you can manage that, and everything is in a sense okay, because everyone understands it's a big crisis. But after 2 weeks, people start asking, well, what's the end of the tunnel? Can you tell us? And then it requires flexibility and trusting one another, trusting that the management is honest when they say we don't know. And the management should trust the students and teachers that will do their utmost best as well. Now, I guess you all heard that that at some point people started saying, well, this is a nice vacation for the students. And it's far from that. Even if you have nothing to do, it doesn't look like a vacation at all. So understanding one's position in a crisis is also crucial, that you maintain a community. Don't let it fall apart, because you're not going to resolve it if you do not hold to one another and try and make the best of it. That's my biggest lesson.
I didn't remember. I forgot to give this kind of an answer. I think that, I mean, looking back at what happened at the Politecnico in the years 17 through 19, the first 3 years of our new rectorate, we started a very strong innovative, program on innovative teaching. And I think where we started to thinking and to doing distance learning only very partly. And so from this point of view, this experience, which was small up to that time, was anyway very useful to be ready very quickly to be able to do distance learning because of the crisis. And it is true, in that occasion, we thought of the idea of changing something when everything was more or less okay. So probably if we want, I don't know, to do a claim on this, it might be that we have to change something while it works, not waiting too much. Otherwise, it is more difficult to do it when it doesn't work. And also, probably we should probably think that even when the crisis will be over, hopefully soon, probably the idea of business as usual probably it is not a good idea, because otherwise we will not be able to face new kind of crisis later on. Thank you.
I think my biggest learning from all of this is about bringing people together, setting very clear values-based decision-making at the very beginning. What is it that we absolutely have to do? And then pulling in all of the ideas, and then somebody has to take the decisions after all of that and make sure that everything is implemented. And then again, as I said before, it's a sort of triathlon. Once you think you've got into your rhythm, the rules change again, and you have to go through this transition, and you need to then be ready, you need to be agile, and you then need to be resilient, and you need to have a backup plan in case things aren't working out. And I think communication is really important. So I think idealistic, doing this town hall event today is fabulous, because it allows you to reach out to your community. We had, I think, multiple town hall events with about 3,000 people as well. And I think something like 5,000 people download my Instagram chats, if I remember to save them properly. So those sort of things are all part of this spectrum of how one can communicate, how one can listen, and how one can respond. And I think being visible and standing up there and reminding everybody about the principles behind your decision making is really important, because then that allows people to say, yes, actually, I can trust this person, and they're trusting me also to go on and do my job. So I think these human values are really, really important. And I hope that we will come out even stronger in that sense. And the students will trust us maybe a little bit more than they might have done in the past, and vice versa.
I think that one thing that we have been working a lot with is the involving of teachers in the understanding of what we have to do in order to keep the ship on the right side, so to say, and also to anchor all our decisions in all different parts of the faculty and of the student body, so that we know that everybody understands why we are taking the decisions we are taking and where we have to go. And in that, I can't stress it enough, the communication, talking and explaining and taking in what different parts of the organization is wanting to contribute with, I think is so important. So anchoring, involvement, and communication is really my 3 words.